As soon as I arrived at the front door, Loretta was there with her iPad. She has one of those video doorbell ringers, so she immediately recognized me. Before I could enter the threshold, she added, "I told you they were doing it." Who? Performing what? This pair. Look at this, please. She gave her beloved first-generation iPad to the other person. The object was really heavy. I read the Daily Mail's first headline, a renowned tabloid. Exclusive. Co-stars turned lovers, the romance between GMA anchors Amy Robach, 49, and TJ Holmes, 45, is uncovered as the married co-hosts are spotted holding hands in an Uber, cuddling up in an NYC pub, and going on a romantic getaway upstate. Auntie Lo, I don't give a damn about this crap. Why are you displaying this to me? Although Loretta isn't my actual aunt, she was my mother's closest friend. She is someone I've known my entire life, so I drove here to bring her to the Georgia runoff election early voting. I assumed the iPad story would be about the Neanderthal football star who was running for the U.S. Senate when she initially handed it to me. Since hearing the candidate claim that we couldn't combat climate change because our clean air would be replaced by China's polluted air, Auntie Lo has been ranting about it. Every time that man spoke, she would lose her mind. She also disliked the Robach Holmes narrative, though. She wished for me to retract my statement. I kept saying, "It's platonic," to her. Why are men and women unable to simply be good friends? She had added, Plato is not present in either of those two. They're carrying it out. When Good Morning America dispatched them to London to cover the platinum celebration of Queen Elizabeth's 70 years on the throne, Loretta first saw the couple's chemistry. I could also see their unique energy exchange. That kind of chemistry cannot be faked. The camera does not blink, as Dan Rather famously remarked in the past. I could also see their unique energy exchange. That kind of chemistry cannot be faked. The camera does not blink, as Dan Rather famously remarked in the past. Auntie Lo, hurry up. I had remarked, they're just pals. Just because two people get along and look well together doesn't necessarily indicate they are sleeping together. Believe me, I know. I've already done that. Jackson, Thad, since the day you were born, I have known you. Everyone else in your sphere of influence may have been duped by you and your Hollywood co-anchor, but you didn't try to deceive me, young man. Definitely not. She obviously wanted me to know that she was aware of what ADI stood for. You get what you want, Auntie Lo, but we must move forward. There are lengthy lineups and about 1 million individuals have already cast ballots. I turned to set the iPad down next to the poinsettias on the foyer table. Thad, don't put it down just yet. Take a look at this from Radar Online. Please, Auntie, not another one about Holmes and Robach, please. In TV news, not everyone I know is there. I haven't been on the air for a while. Why should I give them any attention? She answered, you might not give a damn about them. However, you should be concerned about how the media is portraying this. Read this final article from Radar Online so we can discuss it while driving. My Prius was going to host church. I'd use my car. Aunt Lo would give sermons. Instantly, I understood her reaction to the Radar headline. The greatest betrayal. Before Amy Robach's affair with co-host TJ Holmes, her husband Andrew Shue assisted the GMA star in overcoming cancer. Auntie Lo permitted me to put down the iPad this time and assist her in getting to the car. She was definitely advancing in years, so I carefully avoided making it too obvious that I was there to support her by walking slowly alongside her. She declined to disclose her precise age, despite being a former model who frequently appeared in the pages of Jet and Ebony magazines back in the day. Although I once perceived this as vanity, it was only recently that I realized it was self-esteem. Sending her to the mortuary while she was still living wasn't necessary just because she couldn't walk down a runway in stilettos anymore. She kept reminding me of this truth. Since Thanksgiving, the temperature has dropped. However, the sky was clear and the sun turned the final autumnal foliage trees into subdued red and golden brown hues. I was happy that on election days, senior persons could cut in front of the line. Aunt Loretta had no chance of letting me bring the walker with me. She was excellent in the Prius. First, she declared, they're attempting to humiliate that girl for dating a black man. Most people would simply yawn if Amy Robach were having an affair with Whit Johnson, Matt Gutman, or even George Stephanopoulos. She being white and TJ Holmes being black is the only reason this story gains so much attention. That's why the network first chose to pair them as co-hosts, I replied. Remember Ted Capel from a few weeks ago? He is now in his 80 seconds and did a special program in which he cited a recent Gallup poll stating that 96% of Americans support interracial marriage. In 1950, only 4% of people did. Nevertheless, the networks are aware that matching a beautiful white woman with a handsome black man frequently results in unease. They partnered me with Claire Crosby for that reason back then. Oh, so you believed yourself to be attractive. I see. No, I'm sorry. Screw it, Thad. Your Aunt Loretta always thought you looked good. But before I go, let me just say how terrible this ultimate betrayal is on so many levels. The first accusation is that Amy is a hoe, because having an affair with a black man is wrong. and because her husband Andrew Shue supported her throughout her 9-year struggle with breast cancer. However, the media is unaware of what was happening in her marriage. Nevertheless, they are attempting to sway public opinion here. What if the marriage no longer has any love in it? What if her husband simply supported her out of concern for the way it would appear if he didn't? What if he was having relationships while he couldn't access her body? Nothing is known about the husband, but the media is eager to cast aspersions on the woman. Auntie Lo, you're right about it. Thad, please allow me to finish. I want to remember. Second, why does the woman in these headlines constantly get the blame? How did Amy Robach drag TJ Holmes to the ground while running across the parking lot? Hell no, he sinned too, for whatever reason. But no matter what occurs, the woman is always at fault. You see, there is a double standard. And I don't give a damn what Ted Capel says about how attitudes toward interracial marriage are evolving. Every time sex occurs, they continue to blame the woman. We might not be slaughtering women like Iran did because they weren't covering their heads with a dumb scarf, but plenty of individuals here would love to make America a religious state. You can't possibly argue with me that some of these people aren't worse than Iran's moral police. I entered before Aunt Loretta could resume as she stopped to catch her breath. I stated, the Daily Mail has the largest circulation in the UK. But, believe it or not, most of its readers are conservatives who are over 58 and female. The newspaper is simply feeding its readers what they want to read. But hey, Claire Crosby and I never had a romantic relationship. Auntie Lo, forgive my French, but random strangers used to frequently stop me on the street and inquire if I was hitting her. And I felt insulted. Thad, why were you offended? I am curious. To start with, the language. Why did you have to use the word banging? However, I was also offended because the inquiries were humiliating to us both. It took away our ability to be anything than sexually motivated beasts with jungle fever, and the frequency with which it occurred troubled me. It appeared as though the viewers were anticipating when I would slit Claire's throat on live television. I attended Stanford University, hell, but the audience used to only be interested in that. My aunt turned to face me, her large eyes hidden by thick eyeglasses. Except for during the epidemic, she made it to the salon once a week to maintain her hair styled and rinsed while allowing it to turn gray. She never hid the creases she referred to as character lines with elegant makeup. She was voting early, yet she was dressed in a green tweed suit with a fur collar. It was a great occasion to vote for her. She was always prepared. I walked her to the front of the line, which was backed up outside around the corner, and unlocked the passenger door near the entrance. I pondered the motivations of my fellow Americans while I waited for Loretta to cast her ballot. What was going through their minds? Where would they rank in a Gallup survey about the issues that are so important right now but would probably be forgotten by the time of the next election, and replaced by another hotly contested issue? What were Amy Robach and TJ Holmes known to any of these people? What, if anything, did any of them understand about love? How many of them go through life without the one thing that truly matters in this world? Who among them would have the guts to follow Khalil Gibran's ominous counsel in The Prophet? Even though his paths are difficult and steep, follow him when love calls to you, and you submit to him when his wings spread outward. While the sword concealed within his pinions may cause injury, I believe following your heart is scary. When you hear in your head that you can't practice love just yet because what? Family, friends, other people's perspectives, the anxiety that perhaps all you're truly feeling is an attraction to animals. What exactly is love? I really did adore Claire Crosby. In that regard, Aunt Loretta was correct. But she was mistaken to think we were having an affair. We were frequently forced to work together, just like Robach and Holmes. Additionally, our on-air chemistry was fantastic. I stayed with her family in Hollywood when I traveled to Los Angeles to investigate the crime of the century that year. At her house, we enjoyed swimming and tennis. Alongside movie stars, we had meals in restaurants. Sidney Poitier and Katharine Hepburn were introduced to me by her father, a well-known director. As we went through Beverly Hills past the mansions of the affluent and famous, Claire grabbed hold of my arm. She also revealed to me aspects of herself that she had never shared with anybody else. Even her spouse couldn't. Behind the glitzy exterior of Tinseltown and her father's prized gold statuette was a young woman who had grown up believing she was unworthy, because nothing she had ever accomplished could have compared to what had occurred on the big screen. That took trust for Claire to reveal her anxieties, and love sprang from that trust. I stopped seeing a wealthy white woman with beautiful teeth and blonde hair. I then began to notice Claire. Not only the picture we'd both gotten good at conveying live. Claire, however, she had a husband. I had a husband. Then, when the tally light turned red and the camera trained its unblinking gaze on our chemistry, whatever we communicated during that period of emotional intimacy must have come to light. I pondered whether any of the long line of voters would have recognized that for what it was. What might love that didn't manifest itself sexually look like in their imaginations? I had a feeling that was about it in terms of what their minds had decided to do with the options.